Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and former therapist with a background in counseling psychology. This podcast is for strong, high-achieving women who want more in their lives and relationships, who are ready to rise to the next level of growth, healing, and evolution. Nothing changes until you change. And when you change, everything else changes around you as a result. If you're done with feeling powerless within the chaotic and toxic dynamics in your relationship and don't even know where to begin with making changes, I've got you covered. I know you've tried everything, including counseling, watching hours of videos, and reading stacks of books on narcissism, and find that all it does is leave you feeling even more stuck and in the same place. None of these things work when you're living with a narcissistic spouse because the root causes of the symptoms are not being addressed. As with physical health, there is an emotional, physical, spiritual, and psychological component to healing and overcoming the problematic symptoms and pain you're facing every day in your life and relationship. If you're ready for a direct, no fluff, no nonsense approach to take you into your personal power and take back your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to the Awakening Women podcast. It's been a long while since I have recorded something, and I just wanted to come on and chat with you guys a little bit about why that is and what's going on with me and with the community and the new offerings that I have and all of that. So first of all, really what has been happening is that I got really sick toward the end of December. I started feeling really unwell and I didn't know what was going on. And I just kept getting sicker and sicker and ended up going to the doctor, and with seeing specialists and all that, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And it's taken some time to be feeling like I can actually function and record. I was so unwell that I couldn't even imagine sitting at my desk recording this. So I'm feeling a little bit better. I am having to take some medications to get things balanced out with what's going on. I'm not going to dive too far into it right here. But I am back, so I'm going to be working really hard to come on again once a week if I'm able. Depends on how I'm doing. So if I'm feeling it, I will come on and do it. But at this point, I really need to be reserving my energy for my clients and the people that I'm working with who pay me to work with them. That's where I really need to put my energy so that I can show up at my best for the women that I work with. So I'm not sure. I may even just start to add some replays of episodes I've recorded before, because, you forget about ones you maybe listened to, or maybe there's some that you haven't. And I've been thinking of doing that as well, just doing some replays of some other popular episodes. So that's that. As far as how you can work with me right now, I'm not running End the Cycle groups anymore for the foreseeable future. I don't know when I will do that again. What I am doing is working with a handful of women at a time privately. So it is with support that you get through texting, through voice chat, and one-on-one calls with me as you work through End the Cycle or my Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse course. So I have two courses. End the Cycle is for you if you're in the relationship and you're stuck, you don't really know what to do, or you know what you need to do, but you just can't seem to do it as far as leaving and getting out. That's what that program is for. And then you get tech support with me Monday to Friday and one-on-ones, depending on the tier that you choose. There's a few different options. So I'll put the link in the show notes for you if you'd like to check that out. So that's what I'm doing right now as far as how I'm working with you if you are wanting to get some coaching. And then the other option, of course, is to just purchase the programs as a self-study. So that's what I'm doing right now as far as how I can best serve you and best help you if you are struggling at either stage, whether you're in the relationship and you're stuck and you don't know what to do next, or you're having troubles with what to do next, or you've already left and you're feeling stuck in that. I've spoken to many women and worked with many women at that stage where you leave, but you still feel somehow emotionally tied to them and you can't seem to move out of that phase, or you feel the guilt for leaving them and cutting things off, or you feel like you've done something wrong, or you feel bad for them. And so many women get stuck and trapped in that. The other thing I see is women still hearing the voice of their ex when they are no longer with them. So, and they still feel like they are trying to prove something to them or trying to please them still when they're not even with them anymore. So this is what happens when we aren't able to actually move through the phases of leaving a relationship, whether it's a abusive relationship or not. There are phases of moving through that, and we can get stuck in one of those phases, especially with that guilt, of feeling the guilt that you chose yourself first, or that you left, or that you broke up. And then you also have the ex-partner putting all that blame on you. So that doesn't help, right? When you don't have someone that's taking full ownership of their part in the dance and their part in the breakup or their part in the relationship, so many women just take on this heavy, heavy guilt and feeling responsible for their ex-partner. So if you can relate to either of these and you're feeling like you're ready to make a change and you want to do something about that, then I will leave the link in the show notes as far as getting coaching or purchasing the self-study course versions. So these are a couple of questions that I got over the last little while, so I thought I would kick off the newest episode here answering them. They were posted in the private Awakening Women group. So the first one is, I took the biggest, most honest stand, feeling like, okay, I'm getting somewhere, and came home from work to flowers and a general pause in the usual antics. How do I keep staying honest with myself about the truth of the dynamics when the dynamics are on pause? And I'm so sure it's a pause. So yes, this is something that I have not seen one woman I've ever worked with that could say that that was not part of the dynamic. It's this quick switch. And I did an episode, I'll find it and I'll link it in the show notes of, it's called, I think I called it the quick switch, because that's what it is. It's like having the rug pulled out from under you. Suddenly they are so charming and overbearing, like almost too nice, too sweet, too kind, showering you with gifts and jewelries and flowers and everything you ever want. And it's overwhelming and it feels gross because you know that it's just a way to reel you back in if they know that they are losing you, or if they sense that that's what's happening, or maybe you've told them that that's what's happening. And so as soon as you start to get that clarity within yourself, boom, they're suddenly being Mr. Wonderful, the person that you fell in love with, the person that you wish was there all the time. You notice that there's always extremes in these relationships. It's either going really, really, really good and it's over the top, or it's gone all to shit. Like it's awful, it's full of conflict, full of tension, full of animosity and resentment and anger and just a lot of that strife. So, and you have them either really connected and plugged in, overwhelming, overbearing, or they're completely disconnected and fully just not even there. It's very common to not have that like normalcy of just a normal, calm relationship that just works. So there's a lot of these extremes. It's the extreme highs and highs, extreme lows and lows. There's no in between with these particular men. So the thing is, I think I can say, just realize this is just fake, realize it's manipulation. I really believe that women have to go through as many of these things as they have to realize it's fake. I can't tell you I've told women like this is fake, it's going to continue. They still are not ready to take that step to leave. So in asking the question, how do I stay honest with myself about the truth? Well, you know the truth. Right? You're self-doubting. And this is why I teach in my program and the cycle about keeping an incident log around exactly what's happening, so that you can go back and see, oh yeah, there's a pattern to this. There's these highs and lows, right? That is no way you can't sustain a relationship like that, right? It's absolutely exhausting. It makes you feel like you're losing your sanity because it's so hard to understand and grasp that one person has so many different sides and so many different personalities to the extreme, right? So in this, I think, I want to have this like perfect answer to say, here's what you do if your spouse is putting on all the nice stuff, right? Putting on the nice behavior, is you have to just go through it and just really be aware of it and see it for what it is. If you're not at a place where you're like, well, this is the last round of this I'm doing, I'm out of here, then you probably haven't gone through enough cycles. This is part of the cycle, right? So if you are wanting support on that, make sure that you check out the coaching if you're wanting some help to get out of that hamster wheel of nice, mean, it's going well, it's not going well, and you're going on this roller coaster ride feeling completely controlled and victimized by your partner when you're the one that is engaging in that victimization. You're engaging in it by allowing yourself to stay in that reality, right? And sometimes you need some support to get out of that reality, unfortunately, right? If you are not able to do it, or you have not been able to do it, then it might be time to think about getting that support from someone, whoever it is, that understands getting out of narcissistic abuse cycles and relationships. They have to understand and know it inside and out. So I hope that helps. I know it's not like the perfect answer, but I will link that episode below here if you want to learn more about that particular tactic or part of the cycle. We were talking in the group about self-care, and I had put a prompt in there about what are you doing for your self-care, and someone posted a comment in there that I related to, because I experienced that for sure, and I just thought this might be a really good thing to talk about on the podcast in case you're feeling that too. So her comment to the post was, I feel guilty for doing something that I want to do. How do I, after 14 years, make time for myself without feeling I need to get home so I am not having to deal with the condescending remarks? So this is how they control you. So they're not necessarily saying, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't wear this. You can't wear that. They're oftentimes, sometimes they're, but often these covert types, they're very insidious with the way that they control you. So the way that he's controlling her in this is with the condescending remarks, right? And she gets to choose, am I going to let those condescending remarks stop me from going and doing what I want to do to live my damn life, right? I know that there's a lot more nuance to that. And when you're in it, you might not see how twisted it is and how controlling it actually is, to go out and do your thing and then have to deal with their pouting or they're ignoring you or they're stonewalling or the remarks like she's saying. So that is how he is controlling her. So if you can relate to that, then see it for what it is. It's control. It's covert control. If you go do what you want to do, you're going to pay, right? With something, whatever it is. So what is it for you? If you go and do something for yourself, or you put yourself first, what are you afraid is going to happen? And so this is in the relationship where they condition you, but then as you're trying to leave, they're conditioning you with the same. Like, you know what I'm capable of if you go against me. And so you're thinking, oh my God, if I leave, like, how much worse is this actually going to get? Right? So this is where working through that as well is really important, because you might think right now, due to all this mental abuse and brainwashing stuff, that you're not capable of getting out, or that you shouldn't get out, or you're wrong for wanting out, or it's really not that bad, or you're making too much out of it. You have to be able to move through that and see that that's not the case. And it is really hard to do that when your whole entire world is this person and you're not getting any outside perspective of what's really going on. Because the thing about it is, when you're in it, you're in this like toxic soup. Like, you don't even see how toxic it is until you get out of it and realize, right? And then the thing too is, when women leave, is they start to question, was it really that bad? Maybe I kind of miss him, or maybe I was making it up, and all of that. So it's a really brutal thing to free yourself from and stay away from. There's just so much wrapped in it, and you do lose your mind. You lose the ability to think clearly because of what's going on. It's not normal to live with someone that makes you feel so many different things that are negative, right? Like, we think that that's normal for a relationship, until you get out of it and you realize, like, no, it's not normal to have every grievance I bring up turn into a big fight, or asking for more quality time turns into a big fight, or, asking for anything turns into, an argument. I don't have to tell you this, you know how awful it is. It's an empty relationship. You're alone in the relationship, and you're doing everything on your own. And so you have to get to a place where you have built the strength to be able to walk away. And that may not be something that happens right away. So in closing, the moral of the story, I guess, with these questions is really, you're going to have to ride the waves of the ups and downs. You're still in the cycle. If you're wondering, how do I stay with my head above water when he's putting all the nice moves on me? Well, you're going to have to see it as part of the cycle. And every woman is like, is it going to be this time? Maybe this time he's going to change. Maybe. If you're still doubting that, you're still in the cycle and you're not ready to leave. And so you just tell yourself, I'm not ready to walk away yet. I'm still wanting to see where this goes or if it lasts. I can't tell you what to do. And I don't even tell women I'm working with what to do. You have to ride the waves. It's really great to have support from someone that gets it, that's been there, definitely. But, there is no magic wand to just suddenly be ready to walk away. I just don't think there is. And that's why when you hear that advice that you've got to walk away, leave, like, okay, sure. If it's someone you're dating, sure. Someone you own a house with, some women it's businesses with, you've got kids, you've got entanglements, you can still do it, of course. But it's going to take some time and some preparation. I don't recommend running out the door unless you are in danger. You've got to get your ducks in a row. And so if you are in that phase of, oh, he's being so good and so nice and all that, well, just enjoy it, but don't, take it with a grain of salt, okay? And then the other piece there is my challenge to you is look at what are the things that you are not doing to avoid whatever it is he's going to do. So this woman that posted this was afraid of the condescending remarks. What do the condescending remarks bring up in you, right? What does the facial expressions bring up in you? What does his silent treatment bring up in you? You got to figure out what's going on inside of you. You can't be at the mercy of what they're doing because then you are powerless. You are under their control. You're under their spell. That's what happens. And it's when you start to see, oh, I can do this and I can do that and he can pout and I can still go do this and do that and do the other thing. I can make myself happy and let him sit there and pout or make faces in the corner by himself. I'll go see my friends. I'll go do this. I'll take a course. I'll hire a coach. I'm going to get my shit together and let him sit over there and sulk and I'm going to go out and do something. Why is it that we don't do that, right? We have that fear and the fear is how they control you. So it's with abusers, it's varying levels, right? It's as much as a woman fearing getting hit or beaten for going her own way, or it's the smirks, it's the facial expressions, it's the grunting, it's the whatever it is that they do, or silent treatment, or leave mess everywhere for you and they become passive aggressive, right? As long as you're not in physical danger, what's that really going to do? So you have to be able to manage and cope with the feelings that the silent treatment and facial expressions and comments, what that brings up in you. And that's really it. We have to be able to come back to ourselves and ask, okay, what is this particular thing bringing up in me and why am I so afraid to feel it? And hey, I'm on this journey too. I'm still learning all of this stuff, right? But it's a lot different. I mean, when you're in something like this, it's really hard to see your way out of it and see your way through. And I think, when you're in it, it feels really cloudy and confusing. But as you start actually doing this work, it becomes clear. The water becomes clear. You can see instead of having all the murkiness in there. As you do your own inner work, you start to see that, like, why am I even in this? Like, you build yourself up to such a level that is just like to compare living the rest of your life in that or what you could create on your own, it's just not worth it anymore. And that happens through your own inner work and building yourself up to that level. All right, so I hope that offers you something today. If those questions maybe helped you or resonated with you in some way, I hope they did. And I will chat with you again in the next episode. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this episode, please take a moment to share it and leave a 5-star rating and review. If you're ready to take your next step, head to the link in the show notes to sign up for my latest free class. Also be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Awakening Women Official and join the conversation. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. Take care of yourself in the meantime, and I'll see you online.